Morning to all. So last class we have discussed module 2 topics. Now we are revising module 2 topics. So today also we are going to discussing module 2 topics. Okay. So last class we have discussed two topics in module 2. First one is design, iterating, design thinking process, right? So design thinking process means design is represented meaning of definitional challenge. So design is difficult in its own aspects if require multiple number of iterations. When we are planning to design any one of any one of idea, that time we need to do some multiple number of iterations and rarely used in optimal process. So design domains that are described by some formal mathematical languages and some by computational complexity. Okay, then the other way of thinking about design quality is identify the defect that will arise in the design process. When we are designing the product, you should identify the defect. Okay, so that identify the defect and try to solve that defect. Okay, identify the defects that will arise in the design process. However, large number of human problem is not really good design. In other way, design hardly represent the faithful execution of plan within application remarkable skill and craft. Okay, we know that. So nowadays we are using lot of products, but we are not satisfied in that product. So you just find out the problem in that product and try to solve that problem. Okay. Then another one is design process. They have four processes there. One is sense gap and define problem, explore alternatives, select plan. Okay, sense gap means what? We know that we find out the gap of the product. Okay, design begins with the perception of gap in the user experience. Okay, so you have some mobile phone. So you are using mobile phone regularly and find the gap. Okay, you are not feeling comfortable any one of the feature in that mobile phone. So you just sense the gap of the mobile phone problem and try to solve that problem. Okay, there is no motivation for design without a gap. Okay, so if they have no gap means though there is no modification is available in that product. So you should find users or a developer should find the gap of that product. Okay, gap in the user experience. Okay, design begins with perceptions of gap in the user experience. There is no motivation for design without a gap. Another one is define problem. We know that we are finding some gap. In the case of define the problem, we are already find that problem, right? Find that gap, right? The gap is the problem. Okay, so when the user experience gap, it's a duty of the designer to identify the problem. So we are finding out the one gap. So in the next stage, that gap is the problem. Okay, then next case we are trying to solve that problem. Okay, when the user experience gap, it is the duty of the designer to identify the problem. This diagnosis can be identification of user needs that are not being met in the current state. Then another one is explore alternatives. So we are find out one problem, then we are finding the alternatives, how we are going to solve that problem. So they have many alternatives are there. We find out the what are the alternatives are there. Okay, sometimes in the case of mobile phone, we know that mobile phone is heating, right? So heating issues is there. So they have a lot of issues. Sometimes battery problems, sometimes the body issues. So that we find out the alternatives, how we are going to solve that issue. So we find out the many alternatives ways and finding one solution. Okay, so exploration involves consuming resources to develop and evaluating alternatives that will be abundant. Practical design problem can rarely to be solved effectively without exploration. Okay, then after only select plan. Okay, in the exploration case, we are finding many alternatives. In the selective plan, we are selecting any one of the exploration solution. So explorator solution is some sort of evaluation and selected form among alternative when a selecting plan that designer must consider may alternative. Okay, so today we are going discussing about iterative design thinking process. This is also important question of this module. So in each module they will ask two questions. So in this module, I think this design process is also important. Then another one is design thinking process is also important. Okay, in the case of design thinking process, so sometimes questions will ask separately what is meant by empathize, what is meant by define, what is meant by ideate, what is meant by prototype, what is meant by test. Okay, so iterative design thinking process. So design thinking is a design methodology that provides solution-based approach to solving the problem. What is meant by iterative design thinking process? So design thinking is a design methodology that provides solution-based approach to solve the problem. We have some problem, so we are thinking about how to solve that problem. It is a solution-based approach to solve the problems. It is extremely useful for tackling complex problems that are ill-defined or unknown. By understanding the human needs involved reframing the problem in a human-centric ways. Okay, so human-centric ways means we know that so sometimes we are going to develop your own high-level product. That time they have some problem with the user. Okay, that product is not a user friendly. So in that case, you should think in the human-centric ways. Human-centric ways, every human should use that product. Okay, so we need to reframing the problem or reframing the design. Okay, it is extremely useful tackling complex problem that is ill-defined or unknown. By understanding the human needs involved by reframing the problem in human-centric ways, by creating many ideas in brainstorming sessions, and by adopting hands-on approach, prototyping and testing. Okay, after reframing the problem, so just creating many ideas in brainstorming section. So we need to discuss with our friends, or there have some group of peoples. The group of peoples are thinking about that problem and creating many solutions with the help of brainstorming sessions and adopting hands-on sessions. So then we need to develop a prototype of that problem and test that prototype. Okay, so then after that, understanding these 5 stages, the design thinking will empower anyone to adopt design thinking methods in order to solve complex problems. Okay, in this case, in iterative design process, we are going to study then 5 stages of iterative design thinking process. So any of the design we have, so we can easily solve. So if we understand these 5 steps, we can easily solve the problem. Okay, so reframing the problem in a human-centric ways by creating many ideas in brainstorming section and by adopting hands-on approach and prototyping and testing. Okay, what are the 5 stages of design thinking? This is important. First one is empathize, and another one is define, then third one is ideate, fourth one prototype, and fifth one is test. Okay, so empathy is we are familiar about last class in the first sem we are studied life skill, right? In that case we are studied empathy, right? Empathy is sharing a relation, sharing a feelings with others, right? So in this case empathize. So empathize also, or we are understanding of problem you are trying to solve. So the first stage of design thinking process, this is empathize. So the first stage is of to gain empathic understanding of problem you are trying to solve. First step, you should understand what problem you are going to solve. Okay, so there have some lot of problems are there. So sometimes you are finding any one of the gap. So not one gap, there have a lot of gaps are there. So we need to understand what is the important problem of this time. Okay, then you should understand the problem and you are trying to solve. Okay, sometimes we know that that problem can't to solve. So you don't choose that problem. You just understand the problem and trying to solve that problem. Okay, so once we select the problem, we need to discuss with the variety of people. Okay, sometimes we need to discuss with that field peoples and experienced people, that like that. Okay, so then once we understanding the problem and we are trying to solve that problem, this is involves consulting expert to find out more about area of concern through observing, engaging and empathizing with the people, understanding their experience and motivation. Okay, as well as impressing yourself in the physical environment, you can deeper personal understanding of the issues involved. Okay, so first step is consulting expert. Okay, so we know that sometimes you are going to solve any one of the software issue. That time you should discuss with some software experts. Okay, some developers are there, so just go through that developer and interacting with that people and trying to solve. So you get many ideas from that people. Okay, so this involves consulting experts. So in the case of empathize, you should that is the 2 important points are there. First one is we need to understand of the problem you are trying to solve. Then another one is we need to meet the consulting expert and find out more about the area of concern through the observing, engaging, and empathizing with the people to understand their experience and motivation. Okay, as well as yourself in the physical environment, so you can gain deeper and personal understanding of issues involved. Then another one is, we know that empathy. Empathy means, what is that? We are creating or making a relationship with some people, right? So we are knowing that the people have some issues, right? So we are going to solve that problem. So that's the same case we are using. Empathy is a crucial to human centered design process, such as design thinking, and empathy allows design thinkers set aside own assumptions about world in order gain insight into user and their needs. We are know that when the user is using that product, they are feeling some problems. Okay, so we are thinking about that problem and trying to solve that problem. Okay, empathy is a main thing. Is empathy is mainly we are thinking about a human centered design process. Okay, we are not thinking about the business oriented or anything. We are just thinking about the human centered. So we know that when the design or when the product is used by the user, they feel some problem. So we are going to solve that problem. Okay, empathy is crucial to human-centered design process. Such as design thinking and empathy allows design thinkers to set aside their own assumption about the world in order to gain insight in the user and their needs. Depending on time constraints, substantial amount of information is gathered at this stage to use during the next stage and develop the best possible understanding of the user, their needs, and the problems to underlie the development of the particular product. Okay, so when you are writing the empathize, first you should write the one important point, that is understanding of the problem you are trying to solve. Okay, empathize എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ക്ലിയർ ആയ വാട്ട് ഈസ് മീൻ ബൈ empathize? When we are writing the empathize, ഫസ്റ്റ് നിങ്ങൾ എഴുതേണ്ട പോയിന്റ് എന്താണ്? ഫസ്റ്റ് പോയിന്റ് എന്താണ്? അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡിങ് ഓഫ് ദ പ്രോബ്ലം യു ആർ ട്രൈങ് ടു സോൾവ്. Okay, second one is, okay, we know that the problem. So second point എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? We need to consult the expert. Okay, നമുക്കൊരു പ്രോബ്ലം കിട്ടി കഴിഞ്ഞു. Then after that we need to consult the expert. ഓക്കെ, സോ എക്സ്പേർട്ടിനെ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക? കൺസൾട്ട് ചെയ്ത് ഇത് എങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവരുടെ കൂടി എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക? ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുക. Okay, so another one is, in the case of empathy, we are thinking in the point view of customers. Okay, customers in the point of view ആണ് നിങ്ങൾ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ടത്. Okay, we know that when the users are using that product, they are feeling some issues. Okay, then the main thing is we are going to solve that issue. Okay, so these are the three important points. Then after that, here also they have some time constraints are there. Depending on time constraints, a substantial amount of information is gathered at this stage to use during the next stage and develop some best possible understanding of the user. This is an important question, important developing the best possible understanding of the user, their needs and their problem to underlie the development of the particular product. Okay, in the empathize stage, we should think about the user and should understanding of the user, their needs and the problems underlie the development of the particular product. This is the interface of empathize. Second one is what? Define. So in the empathize case, we know that we are analyzing the product, right? So in this case, then we are define the problem. Okay, we know that we are empathize, so we are interacting with some customers, and so all customers are telling some information. So this product have some problem. So we are collecting the all informations and we are discussing with some developers. So we know that this product have this problem. Okay, so this users also have some problem in their product. So we are list out the all problems. Then we are fixing. Okay, what problem we are going to solve this time? Okay, so that is the define the problem. Okay, so during the define stage, you put together the information you are created and gather during the empathize stage. Okay, so first stage is empathize. That time we are collecting some information. So that is which type of collections are we are in which type of informations we are collected. We are talk with our customers, talk with our clients, though their customers and peoples have some issues. So we are collecting all the information. So we are fix that they have some issues. Okay, then in the define the problem state, so we are fixing. Okay, they have a lot of problems are there. We are selecting any one of the problem and solving this step. Okay, during the define stage, you put together the information you have created and gather during the empathize stage. This is where you analyze and your information and synthesize synthesize them in order to define core of problems that you and your team have identified of this point. Okay, this is point clear. So it's a simple point. So during the defense stage, you put together the information you have created and gathered during the empathize stage. This is where you will analyze your observation and synthesize them in order to define the core problems that you and your team have identified up to this point. You should seek to define the problem as a problem statement in a human center. So after that, we have a lot of informations are there. So the informations, all informations are related to our problem. Okay, then we are defining one problem. Okay, നിങ്ങളുടെ കയ്യിൽ ഒരു 100 problems ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ 100 problems ആണ് people's-ന്റെ കയ്യിലുണ്ട് collect ചെയ്തത്. Then this case we are fixing one problem. Okay, so sometimes in the case of WhatsApp means നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് starting സ്റ്റേജിലാണ് the user only sending the messages, right? So problem peoples are analyzing, okay, ഇതിലൊരു ഹോൾ ഫീച്ചർ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നല്ലതായിരുന്നു എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവർ സജഷൻസ് പറഞ്ഞു. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൺ പ്രോബ്ലം. ദെൻ അനദർ വൺ ഈസ് ഓക്കെ വീഡിയോ കോൾ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് കുറച്ചുകൂടി നല്ലതായിരുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് അനദർ പ്രോബ്ലം. ഓക്കെ, സംടൈംസ് സം പീപ്പിൾസ് വിൽ ടെൽ group calling ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നല്ലതായിരുന്നു. That is the another problem. Okay, so we are listing the all problems, but in this case we are trying to solve any one of the problem. Okay, അപ്പോൾ നെക്സ്റ്റ് കേസ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകണം? ഓക്കെ, കോളിംഗ് ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രോബ്ലം എടുത്താണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്? സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. അതാണ് ഇവിടെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? ഡിഫൈൻ ദ പ്രോബ്ലം. They have a lot of problems and lot of gap is there in the product we have, but in this case we are solving any one of the problem. Okay, so during this definition stage, you put together the information you have created and gathered during the empathize stage. This is where you will be analyze your observation and synthesize in the order to define the core problems that you and your team have identified up this point. You should seek to define the problem as a problem statement in a human-centered manner. Okay, the define stage will help. So this is the last point is important. You should seek that define a problem as a problem statement. Okay, when we have some case studies, we are writing the problem statement, right? So problem statement have what we are going to solve. Okay, problem statement എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ് നമ്മൾ പ്രോബ്ലം സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഈ എംപത്തൈസ് ഇതെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ കമ്പനിയിലൊക്കെ പോയാൽ അവിടെ ഒരു റിക്വയർമെന്റ് അനാലിസിസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. Okay, so requirement analysis എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ we need to collect some informations from various places. Okay, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ പ്രോബ്ലം സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് എഴുതുക. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പോൾ ഇൻ ദ കേസ് നിങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് പ്രോബ്ലം സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് എഴുതുക? നിങ്ങൾ ദേ ഹാവ് സം ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ദയർ, റൈറ്റ്? സോ ആ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് നിങ്ങൾ പ്രോബ്ലം സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് എഴുതുക. ഓക്കെ, so in the case of in the stage of define the problem, we are define the problem as a problem statement in a human centered manner. Okay, the define stage will help to designers into define stage will help the designers in our team gather great ideas to establish features, functions, and any other elements that will allow them to solve the problems, at very least allow user to resolve the issues themselves with the minimum of difficulty. Okay, once the problem is fixed, we need to solve their problems, right? So in the defense stage will help designers in your team gather a great ideas. Okay, in our team members are there, then team members are creating some ideas, so establishing features, some functions, and any other elements that will allow them to solve their problem at very least and allow user to resolve the issues themselves with the minimum of difficulty. Okay, so in the defense stage you will start to progress to the third stage, ideate by asking questions with the okay. After the defense stage, we are need to do the some ideas. So ideate means by asking questions which help you look ideas for solution of some question. Okay, so this is the defense stage. In the defense stage, we are some collecting some information in the stage of empathize stage. So they have a lot of problems are there. So in the defense stage, we are fixing any one of the problem. Okay, then making some problem statement and trying to solve that problem. Then another case is idea. So idea in case we know the problem, we are going to solve that problem. Okay, first one is we are generating many problems. They have a lot of problems are there. So we are analyzing the all problems. After that, define the problem. In the case of define the problem, we are fixing any one of the solution. Okay, any one of the problem. Okay, കുറേ problems ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും കുറേ problems analyze ചെയ്തെടുത്തത് എവിടെയായിരുന്നു? എംപത്തൈസിലായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു problem select ചെയ്തത് എവിടെയായിരുന്നു? define the problemത്തിലായിരുന്നു. Again, another one is ideas. Okay, so we know the problem is there. Okay, നമ്മൾ ഒരു problem fix ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. Now we are going to solve that problem. Okay, during the third stage of design thinking process, designers are ready to start generating ideas. So we know that the problem. So now in this case, we are generating some ideas how we are going to solve that problem. Okay, designers are ready to start that ജനറേറ്റിംഗ് ഐഡിയാസ്. ഓക്കെ, നമുക്ക് എന്താണ് കോൾ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് എന്ന് ഒരു സാധനം വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, ഇനി കോൾ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സെറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, അതിനെ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യണം അല്ലേ. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഐഡിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. സോ ഐഡിയേറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഡിസൈനേഴ്സിൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ കൊടുക്കും, ഈ പ്രോബ്ലം ആണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. സോ ഡിസൈനേഴ്സ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ആ പ്രോബ്ലത്തെ എങ്ങനെ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, കുറേ ഐഡിയാസ് ചിന്തിക്കണം. ഓക്കെ, ഡിസൈനേഴ്സ് ആർ റെഡി ടു സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ജനറേറ്റിംഗ് ideas. Okay, so you have to understand the user and their needs in the empathize stage, and you analyze the synthesize your information observation in the definition stage, and end up with human centered problem. Okay, so when the designers are thinking that time we know that in the empathize stage നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് യൂസറിന്റെ നീഡ്സ് ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. again എന്താണ് ഡിസൈൻ്റെ പ്രോബ്ലത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങൾ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ഇതൊക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ട് വേണം നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, പ്രോബ്ലത്തിനെ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. സോ യു ഹാവ് understand your users and their needs in the empathize stage, and you have analyzed and synthesized your observation in the definition stage, and end up with some human-centered problem statement. With this solid background, your team members can start thinking outside the box, identify new solution to the problem statement you have created, and you can start looking alternative ways to the win problem. Okay, so we have some problem. Then our team members want to think about that problem and trying to solve that problem. Their problems will be have identified new solution to the problem statement you have created, and you can start looking alternative ways to solve the viewing problem. Okay, അപ്പോൾ അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള കുറേ ടെക്നിക്സ് ആണ് ബ്രെയിൻ സ്ട്രോമിങ്, ബ്രെയിൻ റൈറ്റ് ആൻഡ് most possible idea and scam. Okay, so then in our team members, they have a lot of members are there. We need to collect the all solutions that in the ways of brainstorming, brain right, worst possible idea and scam. Okay, so brainstorm and worst possible ideas typically used to simulate free thinking and expand problem space. It is important to get many ideas or problem solution possible beginning in the idea space. Okay, so brainstorming in our we are thinking deep and deep. So worst possible idea means there have a lot of peoples are there. Every peoples we need to solve the problem. We need to tell any one of suggestions. Okay, അവരുടേത് ചെറുതായിരുന്നാലും കുഴപ്പമില്ല, വലിയ ഐഡിയാസ് ആയിരുന്നാലും കുഴപ്പമില്ല. So every peoples want to tell idea about that problem. Okay, so worst possible idea sessions are typically used to stimulate free thinking and to expand the problem space. It is important to get many ideas on our problem solution as possible to beginning of the ideation phase. You should pick some other ideation techniques and end of the ideation phase to help us you investigate and test your idea, so you can find out the best way to either solve a problem or provide a element required to someone. Okay, after ending end of the ideate, so we have some, there are a lot of people are there, right? So some people's, many of the peoples are telling many suggestions, so we need to pick any one of good solution. Okay, you should pick some other ideation techniques by end of the ideation phase to help you investigate and test your idea, so you can find the best way to either solve a problem or provide elements of required to circumference. Final one is prototype. In the case of ideate, we have the designers are generating many ideas. In the end of the ideate, we are selecting picking any one of best idea. Then after that, in that case idea, we are creating that product. Okay, in the prototype means we are producing a product. Okay, that is not an actual product. We are developing a sample product. Okay, design team will now produce a number of inexpensive scaled down versions of product specific features found in the product, so they can investigate the problem solution and is generated in the previous stage. I hope you all are familiar about the prototype. So prototype is not a original product. It is same like as the original product. Okay, so sometimes the materials are different, sometimes in that model have all functions of that product, but the materials and all other things are little different. Okay, so designer will now produce a number of expensive scaled and down versions of product or specific features found within a product, so they can investigate the problem solution generated in the previous stage. Okay, prototypes may be shared and tested within the team itself, in other departments and small group of people outside the design. Okay, so after that, when we are deciding we need to test it within a team itself. Okay, we are developing the prototype. The prototype means we are developing the sample model. We need to test that model. Okay, so in other departments, in our small group of people outside the design team. This is an experimental phase and is an aim to identify the best possible solution for each of the problems identified during the first 3 stages. Okay, in the experimental stages, we know that they have this is a prototype is the fourth type, right? Fourth stage, right? So in first case. So when we are testing that model, so we need to recognize, okay, in people have a that issue, so that issues are solved or not, so we find out here. Okay, and aim is identify the best possible solution for each the possible identifier during the first three stages. The solutions are implemented with the prototypes, and one by one they are investigated, either accepted, improved, and examined and rejected on the basics of user experience. Okay, when the sometimes we are implemented one by one, they are investigated, either sometimes they will be accepted, improved, and re-examined and rejected on the basis on user experience. So by the end of this stage, the design team will have a better idea. So after that, the sample prototype people test ചെയ്യും. Sometimes they will accept it, sometimes they will tell us just to re-examine the product, sometimes they will reject that, sometimes so this is on the basis of user experience. By this end of this stage, the designer team will have a better idea to constraints, inherent product and problems that are present, and you have clear view how to real users will behave. Okay, think, feel, and when interacting with the end of the product. Okay, when the end of this stage, so we are making some sample products. So end of this stage, design team know that, okay, what the people are thinking, okay, what the people's idea. Okay, the better idea of constraints, inherent product and problems will present, and have a clear view how real users, okay, എങ്ങനെയാണ് real users behave okay, how real users will behave, think and feel they are interacting with the end of the product. Final one is testing. Okay, നമ്മൾ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പ്രോട്ടോടൈപ്പ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് എന്താണ് മാർക്കറ്റിന് പോകുമ്പോൾ വി നീഡ് ടു ടെസ്റ്റ് അവർ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ്. ഓക്കെ, എല്ലാ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സും വർക്കിംഗ് പ്രോപ്പർ വർക്കിംഗ് ആണോ, നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് എമ്പത്തൈസിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് ആണ് ഇവിടെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, വി നീഡ് ടു analyze. So designers and evaluators rigorously test the complete product using the best solution identifying during the prototyping phase. This is the final stage of fifth stage model, but it's an iterative process. The results are generated during the testing phase are often used to redefine one or more problems and inform the understanding the user condition, how people and behave and feel the empathize. Okay, this is the final stage of fifth stage model, but it's an iterative process. The result generated during the testing phase are often used to redefine or one or more problems and inform the understanding of user condition of use, how people think, behave and feel and empathize. Okay, the testing case we are testing that model. Okay, so we have some problem, we problem statement define the problem solve test. Otherwise product proper work test. Same case we are writing on problem statement, right? So for example, you are going to develop any one of calculator, right? So calculator scientific calculator. So scientific testing scientific features test. Okay, this is the final stage of fifth stage model, but in iterative process, the result generated during the testing phases are often used to redefine one or more problems and inform the understanding of user and condition, how people think, behave and feel and empathize. Even during this phase, alternation and refinements are made in order to rule out the problem solution and derive deep understanding of the product and user is possible. Okay, so when the end of this phase, sometimes we are doing some alternation and refinements. Okay, tester test so they are finding some problems, so that time we need to do some alternations and refinements are made on the order to rule out the problem solution and derive as deep understanding of the product and its user as possible. Okay, these are the things we are studying. Design what question endana iterative design thinking process on. Okay, so iterating design thinking process il varna 5 stages endokkana one type cheyyum nokkate. What are the stages are involved iterating design thinking process? Iterative design thinking process ulla 5 stages endokkana type check. Empathize. First one is empathize. Good. So for empathize, we need to analyze the problem. Okay. Then second one, define the problem. Okay, they have a lot of problems are there. No, so we need to fix any one of the problem. Then ideate. So we are already fixed that one problem in the face of define the problem. So here we are creating many ideas how to go solve that problem. Okay. തുളസി ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. Then another one is prototype. So in the end of the ideate, so we are generating many ideas. So finally we are picking any one of solution. So after that we need to develop any one of prototype. Okay, so prototype is a sample model or sample product. So now we are creating any one of sample product. Then after that we are testing that prototype. So it is based on our empathize or based on our it's same as a okay problem statement define ചെയ്തതുപോലാണോ ഉള്ളതെന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? We need to test. എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക്? ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്താണ്? ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഒന്ന് ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കട്ടെ. മോസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്താണ് അറിയില്ല ഡിസൈനിൽ. ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്താ? ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കട്ടെ. Okay, what